to annoy my one and only true nemesis, Crimson Star Hero.
Crimson GG and Junior Test 2. 1,000 Splatoon players couldn't keep me from you. Dear Valky, at the end of the line, I'll make you mine. Ladies and turkeys! Everyone rise for the turkey lieutenant. Alright, you may be seated. How's your day going? Pretty good? Hope it's going well. So, the Mario movie. I had finally went to see it. By the way, I got my Bowser merch here. Got this from Mama Koopa for Easter. So, as you can tell, y'all already know I was very excited for this movie. I was very, very excited. And I reacted to the trailer on my channel, and I said, you know what I said. I was going to review this movie. I was very excited. And so I got all dressed up, too. I dressed as Waluigi and drove there listening to Mario Kart on the way there. And I walked into the theater, and I was ready to see this movie. I was hyped. And as I said, I had very, very high expectations. The trailers really hyped me up. However, some of the trailers, as they kept coming out and as the days kept growing near, I was like, okay, some of these trailers are kind of, like, the material isn't very clever, isn't very unique. It seems very formulaic, generic. And if I'm being honest, most trailers nowadays are very generic. They do the same thing every time. The music cues, they stop and pause for a funny line, and there's a funny line at the end or something, and I'm sick of it! But, that is what it is. I'll when I make my trailer, I'll show everybody how it's actually done. Or at least how I would do it, Anyway, that's besides the point. All the trailers I was seeing, they were like, all right, I don't know about this movie now. I'm thinking that maybe this won't be quite as good as I hoped. But I was like, you know what? It's a trailer. I saw the Puss in Boots trailer, and I was kind of the same way. But then I saw the movie, and I was like, oh my gosh! This is perfect. By the way, if you want me to review that movie, I know there's like thousands of them on the internet already, but if you want me to review that movie, I will do that. I'm sure you already know my feelings, just based on what I told you, because it's good. It's actually good. But we're not here to talk about Puss in Boots. We're here to talk about the Mario movie. And my expectations were kind of dwindling, but I was like, okay, it's fine because these are just trailers. The first two trailers were good, so I think that this movie still has saving grace. So I went to see the movie. And did it live up to the expectations? Did it live up to the hype? Was it the great Mario movie that I had been anticipating? No.
What?
Okay. Now you die.
Unfortunately, not. You want to know why? Let's talk about why. Oh, I had such high expectations for this movie. Oh, I really, really wanted it to be good, but I was flippin' disappointed! Alright, now before I rip this movie to shreds, because it's that bad, let me at least talk about the good stuff. There is none. No, I'm kidding. Firstly, let me just say that, the animation, first off, the animation was gorgeous. There was not a moment in the movie Except for the big... Oh, by the way, spoilers. I think that's pretty clear. I think if you watch a movie review, you should expect spoilers, because how else are we supposed to talk about it without spoiling? Anyway, except for the Bullet Bill scene where it was the big giant Bullet Bill, the big nuke Bullet Bill, where it was moving through the mushrooms. That was my only complaint with the animation, and then the dog, I think. I mean, the dog was well animated, but it felt like I was watching something from Secret Life of Pets. And I don't like that movie. So to be honest, I didn't like that scene. It was the most stupid thing I've seen, because no dog acts like that. No dog wants to rip you to shreds just because you stepped on their bone. If there is a dog out there like that, the owners would immediately get that fixed if they're good and reasonable people. Anyways, the animation, beautiful. From every point, I really enjoyed watching it. And just the facial expressions of the characters at times, very nicely done. Beautiful. It was a very visually pleasing movie. Bowser. We're gonna talk about him. But Jack Black as Bowser, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. That was so good. The way they portrayed Bowser was sort of good. Not all of it, but some of it was good. I love how they implemented the fact that he had a crush on Peach, and, you know, he still wants to rule the Mushroom Kingdom, but at the same time, he's also this awkward guy who really wants to talk with this princess, you know what I'm saying? So, and the song, I wish they would have had him do another one where he's like, you know, I'm Bowser, I'm gonna take your land, or something, I don't know. Something that really incorporates how goofy but yet powerful he is, because you have to get that nice blend with Bowser, and that movie didn't do that the best. It could have done it better. It did okay, but it could have done it better. More on Bowser later. The blue shell scene, I absolutely loved that. When the blue shell guy came in, I hopped out of my seat. I was like, yo, that's exactly how it feels. That's exactly how it feels. Some of the soundtrack was good. Like when Bowser first came in, I was like, oh, dun, 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 and like, but then it kind of faded out. And then I heard Captain Toad's theme, and I was like, yeah, that's it. And a little bit of the Mario theme sprinkled here and there, but... And then the DK rap. As soon as I heard that, I was like, DK! I got so hyped for DK. Oh my gosh. And then, of course, Peaches, that song. But the thing is, it could have been better. It didn't move me. It did for a little... The DK rap did. Peaches did, but not in an emotional way where it's like sad or powerful. It was all funny. It was a joke, an Easter egg, if you will. Not Peaches, but you know. But they could have done more. Like when the credits rolled, I heard a lot of the familiar music, and I was like, why was that not in the movie? Why did you not incorporate that with, like, when they're exploring the pipes, why not have the underground theme played in some orchestral way? Or when they're facing Bowser in the city, I wish they would have done that somewhere else. The final battle, we'll get to that. Why not have Bowser's theme played more prominently? Bowser's Fury, I like that for his little party scene, but that's not Bowser's theme. Where's the Bowser theme from 3D World when you enter World Bowser? I feel like they could have done better with the soundtrack and placing the songs in the right place. I loved Aha, Take On Me, Mr. Blue Sky. I think that's overused now, guys. We really gotta stop using that in every movie now. And then the mood of the movie, which is weird because, you know, the mood is goofy, lighthearted, and just fun. And the movie does that. It doesn't really ever establish a serious mood very well. It did kind of establish a spooky tone when Luigi was, you know, traveling through the woods and the dry bones chased. But that was kind of creepy. I liked what they did there. That was good. So it managed to do decent with the mood. That's the thing. Everything I just said, besides the animation, it was like above average, but not great. They were playing it safe. And that's what this movie suffers from, is playing safe. It plays too safe. Nintendo was, I think they were too scared to dive into anything deeper because this movie is so bare bone and just soulless to me. Besides the fact that it's fun and, it's got animation everywhere and, it's a roller coaster, but, it doesn't have any emotional moments. Like, I left the theater feeling empty. I was like, what did I just watch? So, with that, now let's get on to the negative. Well, okay. I've decided that my haircut is okay, but I think I look better with the hat on, so I'm just gonna keep the hat on. Now, the story was simplistic. And you might be saying, Kirky, it's a Mario movie. The storytelling aspect of the Mario universe is not that complex. And to that I say, you are correct. But why not give it a shot? Or better yet, go with something simplistic, but have the execution done better. For example, Puss in Boots had a simplistic story. All they had to do was go to the swishing star. It was a journey, and that's about all it got. That's it. That's all the story has to offer. It's not that strong. But what it lacked in, complex story, it made up for with its execution, the interactions between the characters, and in the Mario movie, the execution and the interaction is not there. Execution and pacing of this movie stunk. I felt like I was on a roller coaster throughout this entire movie. The movie was, a little fast-paced, but then once we get in the world, once we go to see Princess Peach, we're just going downhill. Mario goes with Peach. Mario trains. He's ready to go. But wait, here comes an ambush. Here comes the ambush. But now Bowser gets Peach. Let's get married. The wedding happens instantly, but here comes Mario and Donkey Kong. See what I'm saying? It was so fast. They were there instantly. Everything lined up perfectly and way too quick for anyone's brain to process and way too quick for anyone to settle and take in what was there and interact, more importantly. The interactions were forced and they were so bare bone with little to no dialogue. Like, literally, at one point, Princess Peach is trying to, determine what to do, and she's like, I'll go convince the Kongs. And the Toad is like, no, you can't convince the Kongs. They'll never join you. And she literally says the same thing again. I can convince them. And then she says, I'm leaving. And then the Toad's like, good luck, princess. And that's it! There's no... We're just rushing to Kong Kingdom with no plan, no logic whatsoever. And the Kongs... They're like, if you defeat my son, then yeah, we'll give you the army. What do you mean? This is Bowser's army we're talking about. Why are you making this a game? Because even at the end, Peach is like, see, I knew Mario could beat Donkey Kong, and Cranky Kong's like, yeah. And he's so nonchalant about it. Like, this is a casual thing for him. This is not a casual thing we're talking about. This is Bowser! This is part of that execution thing I was talking about with Bowser and how he's portrayed. They're so casual about it half the time. So, on to the next point. The logic in this movie makes absolutely no sense. Bowser's motive to have the star. First of all, why does he need this star? He's already ultra powerful. The star, the only reason I can think of that he would need this star is because he thinks it's all powerful, but he doesn't know what it does. So that's my theory, is he doesn't know what it does. Otherwise, if he knew what it would do, because in the movie it only lasts for like a minute. That's how long the star lasts. So theoretically, he shouldn't know what it does because he wouldn't need this star. He doesn't need to be invincible for a minute because it only lasts a minute. That is not going to help you conquer a whole kingdom. That is going to help you conquer like 40 feet of land. That's it. So his motive for the star makes no sense. He doesn't need it. I don't know why he is so bent on getting it when he's already powerful enough. He's already got this army. He literally just wiped out the Penguins with ease. We see it at the beginning of the movie. And then by the end of the movie, the star, he's just doing nothing with it. He threatens to use it against Peach or whatever if she declines his marriage proposal, and then he doesn't use it anyway. The Kamek uses his magic instead, so they don't even use the star like he said. Why do we have the star? Why? And for that matter, the powers. How does everyone get these powers? And how are there so many in abundance? And if that's the case, why doesn't everyone have powers? Why doesn't all of the Kong army just use these powers if they're just so free in abundance to put in the arena? Why can't you use those to beat Bowser? Hello! And then the one scene that broke me for the logic of this movie was the scene with the nuclear bullet bill. I hate this scene. It makes me sick because the logic is so flawed. So Bowser's getting beat, right? He's losing. And so they launched this nuclear missile bullet bill, and it's headed right for Peach's kingdom. And so Mario, with his Tanuki power or whatever, flies to it. He can't stop it, of course, because it's a giant bullet bill. What are you supposed to do? And that's what I was thinking. I was like, how is he going to stop this? How are they going to stop this? There's nothing they can do. So he's like, all right, you asked for it. And he pokes it in the eye. I'm not kidding you when I say I was confused beyond belief. I thought the thing was going to go flying away from the castle, and I was going to be like, that's got to be the luckiest bullcrap. No, what happens is actually even worse. The bullet bill gets mad and changes its direction and heads straight for Mario and does not stop. It follows him everywhere. It's a heat-seeking bullet bill now. I'm not kidding! This bullet bill decides to go Super Saiyan and chase Mario throughout the entire Mushroom Gorge, and then somehow he's able to juke it at the very end, of course, and get it to go in the pipe. Even though it had at least 3 seconds, I counted, 3 seconds to go back up when we saw how heat-seeking it was. And don't tell me that the heat-seeking wore out. That's not a thing, because clearly that wasn't established. And it was never established that it could heat-seek. And it shouldn't change direction because Mario poked it in the eyeball. That's bogus, is what that is. That's bogus. Bogus. Oh, I gotta clean that up. I can't stand this movie. Oh, but we're not done. We're not done. we're not done, because the logic of this movie may be one thing, but the moral of this movie is another thing. If you may have noticed, they've been able to solve most of their problems because of powers. Right? Powers, yeah. Because that is what solves the problems, clearly. They gave it away freely in the arena. Mario was able to beat Donkey Kong because he had the cat power. He was able to clear the course because he had the mushroom that made him stronger. And that's a good thing. And then, of course, there was Peach, who had the ice flower. She was able to stop Bowser because she had the ice flower. And then we have the star. The one thing that Bowser wants, and the marriage, of course, but he wants the star because it has power, and Mario and Luigi are able to obtain it, and they beat Bowser because they got the power. And now everybody loves them, including their delusional parents, because they got power. Do you see the problem here? The moral here is that powers will fix your problems. Well, I got news for you. It doesn't! Powers corrupt. Bowser was being corrupt by these powers. And it's frustrating. It's unrealistic. Do powers help solve our problems? Of course not. Because we don't have powers. The reason this frustrates me so much, especially, is because I'm writing a book that teaches the exact opposite of this. Power does not give you purpose. People do. But no, not in the Mario universe. The powers are everything. That's how you overcome everything. Because how can a small, wee guy like Mario possibly beat Donkey Kong? Could it be smarts? Could it be teamwork? Could it be, anything else? No. Let's go with something unrealistic. Now, are the powers realistic in the universe? Of course they are. But the whole point of the movie, or the whole point of the moral, rather, if it even has one, is that power is what helps you beat them. Without the powers, they couldn't have stopped the ritual. Yeah, there's a ritual in this movie, by the way, but it's not actually a ritual. It's just what Bowser calls it, which is actually funny. But Peach, with the ice flower, was able to stop Bowser and the ritual. Mario was able to beat Donkey Kong because he had the cat power. Mario was able to almost clear the course because he had the mushroom. And they were able to beat Bowser because they had the star. I can't. Alright. Alright, so we're about halfway done with the bad stuff. Yeah, we're not even, we haven't even gotten to the worst part, and we're about to right now. Okay? You want to know the worst part of this movie? The one thing that, well, not the one thing, there's many things, but this thing in particular just rubbed me the wrong way. And it was the potential. The absolute wasted potential this movie has to be good. They could have made this good, but they didn't. They made such a generic movie. They were too scared to take any risks, so they played it safe, and we got the most bare-bone movie that they could have made. Okay, not the most bare-bone, alright? But listen, I had high expectations for this movie. This was the Mario movie. If this was something like I don't know, Pinocchio, I guess? Or what's something that people... Puss in Boots? People didn't expect Puss in Boots to be good. But oh my gosh, they overdid it, which is good. They blew our minds. With this movie, they didn't really try as hard as they could have. There was so much potential, and they threw it away. And it lies in the characters. The character potential, the character arcs, the character growth. There is none! None! Whatsoever. And don't say Luigi had some growth. He had a character arc where he got brave. He didn't earn that at all. There was no point where he had to confront his fears at all. In fact, the majority of the movie, he's stuck in a cage. So, how am I supposed to believe that he's ready to jump in front of a flame with a sewer that comes out of nowhere and block the flame from Mario, and then everyone's like, wow, Luigi, you're so brave. Really? I would think that would almost come naturally. Whether you're a scaredy cat or not, you should jump in front if you have something to protect your brother with, who you dearly love. I would think that just about anyone with any sense of heart would do that. So no, that is not character growth. Not in the slightest. But let's not start with Luigi. First, let's start with Mr. Wahoo himself. So, let me zoom in. Yes, I'm reading off of a script. I have a lot to say here. So Mario. Mario was alright. Chris Pratt did a decent job voicing him, I thought. There were a few times where it was a bit confusing because he kept switching. Chris didn't seem too sure about what he was doing, but I thought overall he did a pretty good job. The man is talented, so there probably could have been a better voice actor, but you know what? I'm happy with what he got. He did a fairly good job. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. That's the highest you're going to get from me, Chris. Sorry. On this performance, if they would have explained it to you, I'm sure you would have done you probably could have amped it up more. Okay, so Mario doesn't give up. And people might say that's kind of a dumb trait. But think about this. In the game, he's constantly dying. We're constantly dying and trying to figure out how to beat the level. So I think that was actually kind of clever that they implemented the fact that he never gives up. That was kind of cool. And he takes a lot of punishment. Some punishment that questionably should, kill you? Can we talk, wait a minute, while I'm on that, can we talk about how he took a Donkey Kong punch, a punch that breaks trees, a punch, mind you, that in the game made the moon fall out of the sky, and then, of course, it's over-exaggerated, I know, but at the same time, it's nothing to just sneeze off. This punch should theoretically cripple Mario, or at the very least, knock him out. But it just dazes him for 5 seconds? I don't know. But he resumes the fight. And then Donkey Kong gets a similar beating and then is down. How? But overall, I thought he did okay. I like that early on they established he was, kind of skilled with all the acrobatics and things he does. But then, the one nitpick, or not nitpick, it's a critique. The one critique I have, besides the other things I listed, was the fact that at the end, he got scared to fight Bowser. Why? Why did he get scared to fight Bowser? Was that to show that Bowser's almighty and strong? No, not when you've been showing that he's more of a, simp. No. I'm not scared of Bowser that much. I've been laughing at Bowser more than I have trembling. And that's one problem with Bowser, is that I was laughing at him more than trembling. They didn't show hardly any intimidating factors. Anyway. So yeah, you expect me to believe that Mario's scared? After all this time, after all the things he's done, he's gonna be scared of Bowser? No! And then he gets motivated by his own commercial to go back out there. His commercial that just so happens to pop on as, he gets knocked into the cafe and Bowser's out there taunting him. And then he, starts beating up his friends, and Mario's like, I don't know what to do. And then he sees the commercial, and it says, we're the Mario Brothers, and we're going to save Brooklyn. And it repeats it, of course, because it's a damaged TV. And that motivates you? That's it? That's terrible. That goes back to my whole moral from my story. Powers do not give you purpose. People do. That is the whole... That's Mario's character, and he's not even the worst. We're just getting started. On to Peach. Yeah, Peach. Peaches. I love that song. So she's somewhat unlikable at first. Yeah. Now, I'm assuming that they were going to do that on purpose to show some character growth. Because she calls Mario small. And, at one point she's giving a speech and the Toads are like, wait a minute, who is that guy that's going with you? And she's like, nobody important. Or, he is not important. Do you know how rude that is? Do you realize that would crush somebody's self-confidence? Especially when you've called them small, and you've shown that you're so much better at this course than he is. Now, of course, she wasn't rubbing it in his face necessarily, but, come on, Peach, why are you being this way? And by the end of the movie, she doesn't show any character growth. She doesn't have a change of heart at all. She's still the same person that she was at the beginning of the movie, which is fine. You can do that, but it just left me feeling completely empty. It felt like a two-dimensional character. Peach is just, I'm cool, and I'm gonna beat you up, Bowser. That's all she was. She's a good leader. Sort of. Not really, actually. I take that back. She's a horrible leader. Yes, she takes care of her Toads, but she's an idiot. Peach's intelligence in this movie is pretty nimble. For starters, she just says, I'm gonna convince the Kongs. Oh, with what? What are you going to do to convince the Kongs to join you? Now, granted, the Kongs, it doesn't take much to convince them because, they're idiots. But what if they're so hard to convince, why? You need something. You need some kind of proposal. And of course, Bowser, that's good. We need to team up to defeat Bowser, Kongs. Come on. But here's my question. Here's another question. Why wouldn't you do that sooner? Why are you waiting now? Why didn't you do this, 2 weeks ago? Why did you wait until now? And don't tell me that she just got the news, because everybody had already heard of Bowser beforehand. So it sounds to me like you were really just slacking on it. And then you bring along Mario, who isn't quite ready yet. And then you're like, oh, a Toad that's brave. Of course, Toad comes in and he's like, I'll join you because I'm Mario's best friend. Since when? Anyway, I'll get to him in a minute. But Peach is like, okay, you're pretty brave. You're coming with us. And then it's settled. You're coming with us. Those are her exact words. And my question is, are you insane? Because Toad, it doesn't matter if he has the bravest heart of ever. If the dude can't even take out, a wasp, then how do you expect him to fare any better against the Koopa army? At this point, he's a liability now. So you're jeopardizing the Toad's life because you're like, you're brave. you're coming with me. That's a poor sense of judgment, woman. And you're supposed to believe, I'm supposed to believe that you're a princess? A leader? Yeah, sure. Oh, and let's talk about your plan. When you evacuated all the Toads, and Toad said, no, I'm still staying with you. And she's like, okay. Huh? What do you mean? Okay, sure, he's brave. All right, fine. But then, their plan to confront Bowser is to just walk up to his floating island as it lands, and then just stand there and let the Koopas surround them. And then Bowser comes right there face to face with Kamek at his side and the star. So you basically just threw yourself right into the lion's den. That's basically what you just did, Peach. The planning here is so stupid. You have no plan. And she's forced to go with Bowser because the Kamek threatens Toad's life. He's like torturing him and like threatening to squeeze him to death, I guess. I don't know. But either way, the Toad gets jeopardized. And she's like, oh no, wait, okay, I surrender. Yeah, not such a good plan, was it, Pete? And then of course the romance between her and Mario. It was cringe a little bit. It was a little cringy to me. But they didn't force it too much. I'm glad they didn't really go too far with it. They just kind of acknowledged that there might be something there. But some of the lines were just a little off. Because nobody comes on that strong, just right off the bat. Nobody does that. And it was just weird. It felt quite forced. Especially if, you know, the pacing is that of a rocket jet. Let me clarify. I don't mind Peach being cool. I just absolutely despised how dumb she was in this movie and how she didn't grow as a person or apologize for calling Mario small and unimportant. But you know what? That's fine because those are minor insults, but at the end of the day, it's still kind of, you know, self-centered, or I don't know what the word is. Rude. It's rude. Anyways, that's Peach. Now on to Luigi. As usual, Luigi is overlooked. Charlie Day does an amazing job. By the way, Anna Taylor-Joy did a good job with Peach. I think she did pretty good. Forgot to mention that. Charlie Day did a really good job with Luigi. Outstanding job. Unfortunately, the material he was presented with was not the best, but he made it work. And of course, Luigi is just cast off the screen and thrown into a cage for most of this movie. And it sucks. It's really just annoying. And as I stated, his redemption arc failed because there was nothing he did prior that really gave us any reason to believe he would do that, other than he should do that because, you know, that's what any person would do. But the movie treats it like it's this redeeming moment and this arc, when in reality, it's not. So yeah, that's about all I got to say with Luigi, because he wasn't in it that much. And then the Koopa King himself. The Koopa King, Bowser, big boy, the best Nintendo villain of all time. Fight me on that. But unfortunately in this movie, I gotta be honest, I was kind of ashamed to be a Bowser main. As you all know, I'm a Bowser main in Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. And watching this movie made me ashamed because of how childish and just how much he focused on Peach. I was kind of embarrassed. The way they treated Bowser was disgraceful in terms of how threatening he is and how powerful he is. At the beginning, they established it very good. I was like, oh, baby, this is the Koopa King. This is him. And then we see him, like, focusing so hard on this wedding, which I'm fine with. But why not have some other elements of him being a clever, intimidating villain? We didn't get that because he was so hyper-focused on Peach. You know how you could have solved this? Have him have more impact on the characters, off screen even. Like, you know, how Bowser impacted lands, how he did stuff. It didn't really focus that much on that. All it focused on was him and his desire to have Peach. That was it. And then, of course, there's the fact that he got defeated by Peach with her ice power. He literally gets frozen in there for a solid, like, 3 minutes. I'm not kidding! Peach uses the flower, it's a bouquet, and then she reveals it's an ice flower and becomes Elsa, and then she freezes stuff, and then she literally freezes Bowser within, like, 5 throws. And then he's down. Are you kidding me? That's it? The great Koopa King? The one who's conquered entire lands? The one who could move castles is taken down by ice? This is a joke! Absolute joke! No! That is not how you treat Bowser. Literally, the scene at the end perfectly illustrates how I feel about the portrayal of Bowser. He's like, hey, do you know who I am? I am Bowser. And the door just slams on him. He doesn't even get to finish his sentence. And he's in a little cage because he ate a little mushroom. And it's supposed to be played off as a laugh. That's how this movie treated Bowser. As a joke. He had his intimidating moments, sure, but it wasn't enough to really have an impact on the characters. And don't say, Kirky, he had an impact on Mario because he was scared to fight him. That's bogus! Mario should not have been scared because, let's see, he faced a gorilla, he faced a giant eel, he faced Spike, and yeah, maybe they're not all... Maybe not all of them are as scary as Bowser, but Mario shouldn't just chicken out because of Bowser. Like, I would be just as scared of Donkey Kong as I would Bowser. They're both fairly similar in strength, and of course the movie didn't really portray that. The movie portrayed Bowser being stronger than Donkey Kong, which, sure, I get it, Bowser's the villain, but like, Donkey Kong's pretty strong. He's not that small. Yeah. Bowser was more comic relief than he was a villain, I feel like. But, in all honesty, he was still the best part of the movie, because Jack Black did a very good job. So, yeah, that's Bowser. Now we're moving on to Toad. So... I always like to use Puss in Boots for reference. I don't know why. But those of you who've watched Puss in Boots, you know Perrito, aka the best side character in just about any movie. That of course is up for debate, but I would say Perrito is one of the best I've seen in a very long time. I loved him. I loved him every moment he was on screen. I thought he was going to be super annoying, but all he was this wholesome, uplifting dog that wanted to help Puss, and he did. He did all these things, like, you know, driving the carriage, helping with the map, helping Puss in his panic attack, you know, several things. There were several things Perrito did. Why do I say this? Because Toad is the exact same way. He's this really, like, wholesome guy who wants to go on an adventure and calls Mario his best friend. Just like Perrito calls Puss his best friend. Except, of course, Toad is not Mario's best friend. He literally does nothing except just come along on the adventure, and really doesn't say that many lines. He doesn't do that much. I don't remember Toad doing much of anything. The only scene the only two are where he gets, tortured by Kamek, and then the scene where he's with his cart and he's going woom, 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 and it's like knocking him back and forth because of the torque. And so that was the only time I laughed at Toad. That's it. That was the only joke from Toad that got me to laugh. Toad was extremely useless in this movie. He had no impact. If you took him out of the movie, everything would remain the same. Everything. You know why? Because you could literally just use something else to fill that hole. Mario could have found the kingdom all on his own. It's not that hard. They only walked for like a minute and it was in view. So Mario could have easily found it on his own. And then, of course, there's the fact that Toad had to be there with Peach when Bowser threatened her so that she would give in to his will. Of course, Toad had to be there for that. He's a plot device. So instead, why not just... I don't know. I'm not going to get into this because this review is already 49 minutes now, and I'm losing steam. And I haven't even gotten to the worst part, and we're about to. This is where we talk about Donkey Kong. You want to talk about wasted potential? Oh, I give you Donkey Kong. Wasted potential. The character. This is him. You want to know why? You want to talk about a character whose arc and conflict goes absolutely nowhere? I give you Donkey Kong, ladies and gentlemen. This character should have been saved for a sequel. And all my friends said the same thing when we came out of that movie. We all said the exact same thing. Why did they put him in this movie? Luigi should have taken his place. But instead, Luigi was stuck in a cage, and so Donkey Kong was that replacement. And of course, Donkey Kong's all butthurt because Mario beat him. And so then they touch on the fact that his dad thinks he's a joke. And of course, Mario's dad thinks the same thing. And they go nowhere with that. They basically go nowhere with that because it's resolved at the end because they saved the day. That's it. That's all it took was for them to save the day. And their dads are like, "Oh, son, we're so proud of you. We're so happy for you. You just had to save the city, and that was enough to convince us because we're such terrible parents." I literally, the conflict between him and Mario was never resolved. Never. It never got fixed. And at the end of the movie, he's hugging him. Well, he hugs all of them, and it's like, okay, why? Why? Why did this go absolutely nowhere? They could have done so much with the fact that he was a showboat. He loved showing off, and then he's finally beaten by Mario, and the two of them can correlate, and then they'd work together and put their differences aside, and you could say, okay, Kirky, they did that. They worked together at the end when they were, using their power-ups. They were still bickering, but, you could say they somehow got over their differences, but we never have time to see that unfold naturally because the movie's pacing is that of a Corvette. It's moving at blank 0 miles and yet somehow going vertically 1,000 degrees. So yeah, Donkey Kong, wasted potential. They could have done so much more, but all they did was use him for humor and barely touch on his parental issues and his egotistical issues. Barely touch on that at all. Oh, and you want to know another character they wasted potential? You want to know another? Mother of... Why? You want to know another character that you probably aren't even thinking about, but some of you are like, come on, Kirky, spit it out. I know what you're going to say. Well, I'm about to say it. Luma. Yeah, the fact that they put Luma in this movie and just did nothing. All Luma was comic relief. And it was all dark humor about how he's so dark-minded and, the sweet release of death is the only form of mercy. Yeah, that's all the Luma does in this movie. That's it. No exposition about the galaxies out there. We barely touch on that. And Peach is the one to do it. She says there's a lot of universes, or there's a lot of galaxies out there or something. And that's it. That's all we do with that. How did this Luma get in here? How did Bowser obtain the Luma? Where's Rosalina? Hello? So yeah, more wasted potential there. Let's see. Where else did they waste potential? Yoshi! They barely touch on Yoshi, who could have been... Let me say this. Toad should have been thrown out, and Yoshi should have been put in his place as the best friend, because Mario and Yoshi would make a much better duo. Why, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Mario typically uses Yoshi to get around, so it would make sense for him to use Yoshi as a means of transport, whereas Toad does nothing. He acts as a guide, but we don't believe that it's really much of any help because the characters just end up where they are anyway, and they magically find their way to every scene because that's what the plot demands. I can't take this anymore! So you see why I feel this way about this movie. It's because they wasted so much potential. They wasted it with the soundtrack. They wasted it with the characters. They wasted it with the story. And do I need to go on? They could have touched on... I could go on. I could go on about how they could have used the potential for this. There was just so much potential that they could have tapped on for each character. But instead, we got this squashed hour-and-a-half movie. And I know Nintendo might have been, forced to, hurry it along and be like, come on, guys, we got to get this movie out. Don't listen to those people. Take as much time as you need to make sure that your movie is great. So, I know that this movie, in all actuality, this movie is not that bad. It's not the worst thing ever. I've seen way worse movies. And believe it or not, I saw this movie twice. And I enjoyed it the second time. It wasn't, it's not something I'm going to rewatch, every week. It's like, I probably won't touch this movie that much if I'm being honest. But I wanted more. I had really high expectations, and this movie fumbled it. Fumbled it! They were playing it so safe. And so everything was so soulless to me. And when I say everything, I don't mean everything. Because as I mentioned, there was some good that we focused on for 5 minutes? Yeah, because there's a lot of problems with this movie. But that might be because I'm the kind of person, and if you watched this long, if you've watched this whole review all the way through, more power to you, because you've heard what a screaming man-child had to say. First of all, props to you. But secondly, I'm the kind of guy that likes a deep, layered, really well-crafted movie. That's what I want to see. If I'm going to spend my time watching something, I want it to be worth my while. I want it to be something that provokes my mind. Something that I take home and I'm like, wow. The meaning and value of life. You really need to use your life and live it to the fullest. That's what Puss in Boots taught me. What did Mario teach me? That powers make you better. No, they don't! You make you better. All in all, I would give this movie a 6 out of 10. This movie gets a 6 out of 10 from me. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is something you would like to see more of, more movie reviews, let me know, because as you can tell, I love this kind of stuff. I'm a movie guy. I want to make movies in the future. So that's why I get so emotionally invested about this stuff. So, let me know what you think. Go see the movie for yourself. Maybe you'll enjoy it, because truth is, the majority of people like this movie. I'm one of the few individuals that didn't. So,